Next at 4, an 11-year-old girl outsmarts a carjacker at a gas station. Surveillance cameras capture what her dad did next.
Then a man falls asleep behind the wheel and his car catches fire. What the cops think happened that forced them to yank him out of the driver's seat.
And a pair of masked robbers take a smash and grab to the next level, and they do it using a truck.
Live from San Diego, this is the Fox 5 News at 4.
Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Andrew Luria.
And I'm Jen Carlman. We are on top of some breaking news that takes us out to Mission Valley, where our newsroom phones have been lighting up with callers reporting this brush fire. Tons of smoke coming from the area there near Camino del Rio South and Texas Street. This is actually where Texas and Qualcomm Way, they're the same street, just Texas is south of the 8 and Qualcomm Way is to the north. That's where this fire is, Andrew, and we have seen those airdrops for the last 45 minutes or so.
That's right. Sky Fox getting us these shots from above as well. We also have some live pictures there of the scene right now where it's basically just smoldering. Firefighters there to try to put out these hot spots. Their main job today, try to prevent it from spreading. Really where it's located is in between, as we saw there from above, the freeway and the off-ramp. It really didn't have a whole lot of area to spread. That's the good news. But with the wind pushing a little bit, they wanted to make sure they could keep it confined. And it looks like to this point, they've done just that in these live pictures from the ground showing you what it's like right there in the thick of it.
Let's bring in San Diego Fire, Monica Munoz. And Monica, thank you for being here. Can you tell us what you know from your side of things in this operation?
Hi, Jen. We actually received this call at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and we were getting calls. I was in the college area, and I could smell smoke and see smoke. People in Kensington also could smell and see smoke. And we jumped on this, of course, with the first alarm response and then also the helicopter. And we did request 2 additional fire engines probably about 10 minutes after the incident began because, as you say, the wind is always a threat when it picks up as far as spreading the fire from one location to another. And the firefighters worked really, really quickly to, in addition to the help from the helicopter, to get the fire knocked down. And that happened at about 3:30. And we did have crews that were not only working the fire, but also there were other crews that were assigned to just check for spot fires that had potentially jumped from different locations. And we did have one that sparked up over by the iFly location, the business that does indoor skydiving right there at 2300 Camino del Rio North. So we jumped on that one as well. And it looks like the total area that was burned is about a 1/4 acre, and we did stop the forward rate of spread, or the rate of spread of the fire. And there were no structures threatened at any time, and we don't have any injuries reported.
And Monica, I want to ask you about, it usually takes a while to figure out the exact cause, but oftentimes when we see fires right on the edge of a road, you think maybe it's a cigarette, maybe it's something from the vehicle. But given where it started, it appeared to be kind of in the middle of where that ramp, that circle of that ramp is. Is there any indication, were there people down there, perhaps people who were camping out down there?
I don't have any of that information at this time, but because the wind is what it is today, it wouldn't take much to throw a spark from a catalytic converter or, as you mentioned, a cigarette a long distance.
Monica, thanks for your time. Great to see that your crews got quick work of this fire, and you bring up a really great point, the wind. So with that, let's bring in meteorologist Jason Hanman, who can give us some perspective about what we're seeing as far as the weather conditions out there.
Yeah, well, one of the good items here as far as the weather conditions are concerned, the relative humidity is fairly high in this area, and the wind has been coming off of the ocean. In Mission Valley, all of the weather stations around this area about out of the south or southwest, anywhere from 5 to 10 miles an hour. You can certainly see that in these live pictures here, how the smoke is traveling. However, because the wind is coming off of the water, the relative humidity is high. This is not like we are dealing with any kind of Santa Ana winds or anything like that, where we would have very low relative humidity and very dry conditions. Because we're feeling that breeze off of the ocean, the air is pretty moist out there. That certainly helps firefighters in this kind of scenario. That being said, you know, it is a little bit breezy in the Mission Valley area, and that's pretty close to the ocean compared to some other areas around to San Diego County. So that's why the wind could be the one difficult thing that the firefighters are dealing with here.
Yeah, looking from above when we were watching it before, it was the wind that was pushing it pretty hard, and that was the concern as far as spread, because it is surrounded by the freeway, and that is a good buffer for it. As far as the issue of trying to figure out what caused this fire, our Sharon Chen is live there at the scene. I believe she has a deputy with her who perhaps can give us some insight into that. Sharon.
That's right, Andrew. So we just arrived here. I want to show you a little bit of what's happening behind us. You can see crews there working on hot spots. We're told that this area that they're working in, the brush is really thick. So they're really just working to get the water in there to get these hot spots out. Now, I've got with me Deputy Chief Wright. And Deputy Chief, so tell me, when did this spark this afternoon? And obviously we're standing here right now watching, your guys get a hold of these flames here. And we're also feeling a little bit of a wind too. Is that a concern this afternoon?
Well, it was a concern. The fire started about an hour ago. I saw it from driving by on the freeway and just pulled off, so I'm not sure exactly when it got called in. But from the very beginning, it was in that thick brush right next to the freeway and up into the trees. And that was causing fire embers to blow across Qualcomm Way into the vegetation on the other side. And with how dry the grasses are in the understory right now, that was creating spot fires. So we had both sides of the freeway issues on both sides. So the crews did a great job. They got here really quickly and they immediately attacked the fire to knock down the heat. And it was getting really hot next to the freeway. They knocked it down the best they could, as fast as they could, and the helicopter came and helped them knock the heat out of it. And then other crews picked up the spot fires on the east side.
And I mean, right now the wind is dying down a little bit, but earlier today it was a really, really hot day, which, another concern for you guys as well.
Well, it's always wildland season in San Diego, so we're always concerned. We like to keep small fires small at all times. So we just ordered the appropriate amount of resources and just attack the fires to keep them from being able to get a foothold and extend further and damage property or hurt somebody. Today, no injuries, well, there was a couple street signs that were burnt because it got really hot right next to the highway. But other than that, nothing got destroyed, no property damage. So we're real lucky and fortunate today.
Did the fact that this was, kind of surrounded by freeway and roads here, did that kind of help the situation, kind of keep the fire contained where it was?
Oh, absolutely. The big Qualcomm Way was a huge fire break. It was out in the middle of this vegetation island. The vegetation's really thick in there, and it's really great fuel for a fire. So it got hot, but the road helped stop it. And the fire brands went across and there were some spots, but that fire would have just kept on going and we'd have a much larger fire if it wasn't for Qualcomm Way.
Any idea on a cause yet?
No idea on the cause. We'll look into that. Right now we have very thick leaves and debris that we're trying to put out. It might be here for hours trying to make sure that it's all out. And so we'll look into investigating it during that process.
Looks like you guys are going to be out here for a while.
Yeah, that's what we do.
All right. Thank you so much, Deputy Chief Wright. All right. So Jen and Andrew, there you heard kind of the chief giving us a view of the firefight this afternoon. What's how it started, not how it started, but when it started and what they're dealing with this afternoon. We'll send it back to you.
Sharon, I don't know if he's still around or if you could give us a perspective from your vantage point there on the ground. What are the road closures at this point, and was the 8 freeway shut down at any point? We heard him say it got really hot there on the freeway. What's the road situation like right now?
Well, I can show you the 8 freeway right there. You can see the traffic is definitely, if you're going anywhere on the 8 today, just you're going to have to be patient because this fire is definitely affecting traffic. A lot of people stopping to see what's going on. Also, the road right here, which I believe is Texas Street, is shut down. And then also over here, we've got Camino del Rio, Camino del Rio North is also shut down at this time. As you can see, crews working in this area to kind of just keep watching over these spot fires. But the good news is that they do have the body of this fire out. Jen?
All right, our Sharon Chen there giving us a perspective on a story here that is impacting our commuters in the afternoon. Sharon, thank you. We certainly appreciate it. We will keep an eye on it here at the station with that fire now almost out. Now to North Korea, where 3 American detainees have been freed.
And they are now headed home right now on a plane with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. They're expected to arrive late tonight in Washington. Melissa Rainey now has the latest for us.
3 American detainees who were held in North Korea are on the way home. President Donald Trump tweeting, "I am pleased to inform you that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in the air and on his way back from North Korea with the 3 wonderful gentlemen that everyone is looking so forward to meeting." The president went on to tweet that he would be greeting the men along with Pompeo at Andrews Air Force Base early Thursday morning. Wednesday's trip to North Korea was the Secretary of State's second within 6 weeks, following an invitation from North Korean officials. Pompeo tweeting this about his visit: "I had productive meetings in Pyongyang with Chairman Kim Jong-un and made progress. I am delighted to bring home 3 Americans." The release of the detainees is welcome news for the friends and family of the men who were accused of hostile acts or espionage against the North Korean regime. This release also comes ahead of a meeting between Kim and President Trump.
This is encouraging on a lot of fronts. I still think the Kim regime is trust but verify, and we have to treat them that way. But it's hard to look at this as anything other than a real positive.
I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
Taking a silent stand on a problem impacting students across the nation. Why thousands of backpacks were strewn across a lawn at San Diego City College.
Then a bag of chips would have killed a young woman on a recent American Airlines flight had it not been for one specific person on board, equipped with one very specific thing.
What a spectacular afternoon to be out at the beach as you look live in Solana Beach. 71 degrees right now in Chula Vista, 78 in Escondido, 76 in Poway, and the mid-70s in La Mesa. The surf will increase and the temperature will drop. We'll talk about that coming up.
And cities all over the country applied, and San Diego won. The new drone program coming here. We'll explain coming up all new at 5.
You're watching